Hello again. Lawrence Myers had been in the music business for quite some time. He had been involved with acts like the Rolling Stones, David Bowie and the Animals. In 1972 he had the idea to form his own record company. They would lease tracks from other companies and produce compilation albums. The company was to be called RCA Records. Importantly, they would use television advertising to push their records to the general public, instead of just to the artist's fans. Because of this TV advertising, the UK album charts banned such releases, stating that they had an unfair advantage. This of course was total nonsense. Their first release was called 20 Fantastic Hits by the Original Artists Volume 1, and it was a big success, shifting over 500,000 copies in a few months. In 1974 they hit the jackpot. The previous year RCA had purchased Elvis's back catalogue for $5.4 million, the equivalent today of around $37 million, so it was a big deal. This obviously made exploiting Elvis's older recordings more lucrative for RCA. They agreed to lease 40 songs to Arcade, and the double album Elvis 40 Greatest was born. So the album was released in October 1974, and this is the original cover. I've always liked the cover. This is my original copy from Christmas of 1974. I do like the cover, and as you see at the top, as seen on TV. On the back we have the famous Aloha shot and the track listing. Inside we have a very brief summary of Elvis's career. And of course there are no more recent tracks, because I never had to pay Elvis. And this first issue was on blue Arcade labels. A repressing quickly followed. Exactly the same cover, but this time we had yellow Arcade labels. Now there was a third which has white labels. I've yet to find one, so it would seem to be the most difficult of the three to acquire. As I said, this record sold in huge quantities, easily becoming the best-selling album for weeks. But as they'd banned TV promoted albums from the charts, it wasn't listed. It should have been number one for several weeks. Every record company was free to advertise on television, and for whatever reason the best-selling album was the best-selling album, but there you go. Record shop charts gave the true pictures, where it was number one everywhere, and it in fact became the 10th best-selling album in the UK of the 1970s. I have no doubt that RCA were kicking themselves. Why hadn't they thought of such a release? One reporter stated that the original Arcade album sold over 1.5 million copies in the UK, which at that time is a huge number for the UK. Of course, after Elvis died, there was a huge demand for Elvis records, and so RCA saw their chance and re-released the album, but with totally new artwork. I have to say I don't like it as much as the Arcade one. And it opens that way. Same track listing. Now this seems to be a common theme with these. The centre, the gatefold is absolutely awful. I think that's really bad design. Now the sales gimmick was that this was a limited edition, rare pressing on pink vinyl with the blue Elvis label. And in all the advertising it says special edition, giving the impression it's rare. And you will see it being sold on eBay, described as rare pink or limited edition pink. This is complete and utter nonsense. Again, it's sold in vast quantities. Ironically, what is more difficult to find, though it's still not rare, is this pressing, which is the same, except it's not a special edition. And this, of course, is a standard black vinyl. Now, it's been reported that the black vinyl edition sold 250,000 copies less than the pink. So in fact it's the black one that is, we'll say, less common. It's still not rare. Now, other countries of course release their own version of the album, and the one that you'll probably come across most often is the French. This is on the K-Tel label. Now again, as seen on television, 40 greatest, but in fact the track listing is very different. So you've got quite a lot of songs on here that don't appear on the UK one. Now, I haven't checked, but I imagine that maybe they were hits in France, perhaps. Now their centre is a bit better. They've made a bit better use of it. Black with brown K-Tel label. But perhaps taking their lead from RCA in the UK, they came up with a special edition. Now we know it's a special edition because it said special edition. They also have a different design at the top and on the back. Same track listing. Same centre. Same everything. So what makes it a special edition? Well, what makes it a special edition is that it says special edition. That's literally it. Bit of a con job. South Africa. Now in South Africa they called it 40 golden hits. And we have pretty much the actual photo that probably inspired the arcade version. On the back we have the nice shot from the Promised Land album cover. What on earth is going on here? 2 pictures of Elvis and 2 black spaces. They really couldn't come up with 2 more pictures. Track listing is the same as the UK. And it is in fact, if I get it the right way up, an RCA Camden release, which is difficult to show in this light. So that's South Africa. This is Brazil, Elvis 40 Greatest, and this opens like that, so it's RCA Soma. The track listing is the same as the arcade, and again the gatefold centre. What a waste of space, what a really poor design. I mean, that's, you can't believe they couldn't come up with something better than that. The album itself, the old Soma. I don't know, I'm assuming that Soma is a bit like a Brazilian arcade record label. And the last one that I've got is from Italy. I grandi successi di Elvis Presley. "40 great successes, 40 greatest." Again, it's the UK track listing. They've probably got one of the better centres. So we have the Italian single sleeves. Yellow labels. Now, some other countries did release their own versions in 1977, so you will find them from Spain, Netherlands, Germany. I think only the Spanish one is different in that it has some Spanish text on the front cover, so I will get one of those eventually. So yeah, a massive selling album. I should think every Elvis fan's got a version of it. When the 77 one came out, in the adverts they actually advertised an old Shep single. But of course this wasn't taken from that album, this was taken from the 56 Sessions Volume 2. But they were advertising it anyway. There was of course a cassette version, 2 cassettes. Now you often find the 2 cassettes, but you don't often find them in their original slipcase. So they would originally have had a slipcase. So what you normally see are the 2 individual cassettes being sold. White labels. There was of course also an 8-track version, 2 tapes, which I don't have yet, but if I come across one cheap enough I will pick it up. There's never been an official CD release. There was one unofficial, which was called a limited edition, and they appear to have been true to their word, because it's very difficult to find and does fetch some good money when they do turn up. I've never actually seen one for sale yet. I did receive quite a few new things, and if I can remember where I've put it, I'll show you one of them. There you go. Now this was advertised as being a Japanese record, but I knew it wasn't a Japanese record. But it has a very strange cover. Now you either like it or you think it's awful. I actually quite like it. I don't know why, it's just so bizarre. 10 years after 1987. Now when I first saw it I thought, oh, it's got to be an unofficial album. But it isn't, it's RCA. And it was actually put out by the Pacific Music Company Limited in Hong Kong. Now they later became, I think, Pacific BMG, and they actually released I think it's 5 different Elvis releases. I've got one of the others on a CD. That sort of bluey silvery looking label. It's actually quite a good track listing. I can put this back. King of the Whole Wide World, Heartbreak Hotel, You're So Square Baby I Don't Care, Summer Kisses, Winter Tears, Ain't That Loving You Baby, Suspicious Minds, Sentimental Me, If I Can Dream, Edge of Reality, How Great Thou Art, Promised Land, There's Always Me, My Way, The Last Farewell, Crying in the Chapel, Funnier Time Slips Away, Always on My Mind, I'll Remember You, Memories. I quite like that as a track listing. There is a CD version of it as well. It doesn't seem to turn up that often for sale, so if you see one, grab it. I've got some other things which I'll sort out soon. So that's it for now. Till next time, bye for now.